After the big Flying Pig Marathon, downtown Cincinnati is ready for baseball, and we welcome you to Great American Ballpark. It's a rubber game in this three-game series between the Florida Marlins and the Cincinnati Reds. And hi again, everybody, alongside Chris Welsh. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds Baseball. You know, Chris, if you're coming to know the game of baseball, you watch a 10th inning last night, and so much strategy, so many things going on. It's one of the great parts of this game.
Oh, man, I was loving it last night, Tom, especially when Edwin Rodriguez, the manager of the Marlins, shifted the inning. They brought the fielder in from the outfield. They bring it in. This is the way it's set up. They couldn't get him out on an easy sacrifice bunt. That loaded the bases. So Rodriguez, the manager, had no other choice. You had to bring somebody in, so they brought in the center fielder to play third base. They first had him on the right side of the infield, then shifted the third guy infielder on the left side of the infield, and Mike Dunn was pitching, and he was cutting the ball into the right-handed hitting Ramon Hernandez, and there it is. The strategy worked. Boy, I'll tell you what, you don't see that six-man infield very much, but it had to be very gratifying to see it work for Edwin Rodriguez.
Then the very next batter, Paul Yanish, pops up on a 3-2 pitch, and you're thinking, oh, no, are they not going to score? But then Edgar Renteria.
Well, you know, he was a hero, obviously, with the Florida Marlins in the World Series. He burns him right here on a ball that goes through the left side of the infield. Marlins come off the field. They celebrate in Cincinnati. Extra inning win for the Reds, and that was a big win because they really didn't have very much offense all night long. You win a game that Josh Johnson starts and pitches very well against you. You've got to figure that you kind of snuck away with one then.
When we come back, we'll tell you about the pitching matchup for the series finale, and it's a good one, starting with Bronson Arroyo.
Consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Bronson Arroyo making his way back to the Reds dugout from the bullpen in preparation of today's outing against the Florida Marlins. We'll talk about him in just a moment, but what about the weather today? We had a lot of rain this morning. What about the rest of the afternoon and early tonight, Jeff Creighton?
Well, the Reds are on a fishing expedition. They're fishing for marlin. Unfortunately, the weather, wish it was a bit more cooperative. That first pitch, 70 degrees, 69 by the 7th inning. By the final out, 68 degrees, a chance of showers and thunderstorms through the game, although I don't believe the game will be a washout.
Well, that's good news. We'll hope Mother Nature cooperates. What about Bronson Arroyo here, Chris?
Well,
he's at it again.
Yeah, he is at it again. He's had 5 starts. 4 of them have been quality starts for Arroyo. His most recent, a very good outing against the Milwaukee Brewers, a guy that he threw everything but the kitchen sink against the Brewers that day. A lot of soft cutters, curveballs, sidearm pitches. He had the right hand that was really eating out of his hand like he normally does. Expect that again. He'll be facing another guy who really pitches a lot like Bronson Arroyo. He's a real pitcher, Ricky Delasco is. Not overpowering, but he throws fastball, 2 different kinds, a curveball, a changeup, a splitter, a slider. He's got all the different pitches. These guys are around the plate, so a memo to the hitters on both sides, be ready to swing the bats.
All righty, table is set. Rubber game. Big one today for the Reds, taking on the Marlins. First pitch coming up next. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. StateFarm.com. Buy your local Ford dealer. Ford Drive One. By the Regional Tourism Network. Book your trip at CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline. Whenever you're feeling good and hungry, it's Skyline time. It is game time on this mostly cloudy day. Good crowd on hand. Reds and the Marlins ready to go. Bronson Arroyo on the mound to face Chris Coghlan. And a breaking ball is away, and we are underway.
Start number 6 for Bronson Arroyo today. 265 career starts. He finds himself over 500 by 11 games. 106 wins against 95 losses in his career.
1-1 to Coghlan, a .287 batter, 4 home runs and 16 runs batted in. He returned to the lineup here last night after missing the opening game following an injured shoulder that's bothered him all the way back to spring training. He walked twice, stole a base, was thrown out stealing, and scored a run. Right back to Arroyo, a Gold Glove winner a season ago. And no problems for Bronson to throw out Coghlan. Rest of the Marlin lineup reads as follows. Omar Infante left the game with an injury last night, but back in there today. Hanley Ramirez bats third at short. Gaby Sanchez, Mike Stanton, Greg Dobbs in middle third. And a latter third of John Buck, Emilio Bonifacio, and Ricky Nolasco. Very busy day in downtown Cincinnati today. Better than 17,000 folks ran in the Flying Pig Marathon. Beginning in downtown Cincinnati, and I think most of them had to have finished by a certain time. It went off at 6:30 in the morning. If you and I were out there, they could keep the finish outline until tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
The finish swine, as it's known here in Porkopolis. Imagine that, though. 17,000. Heard them talking about it on the radio. What, about 7-8 years ago, they only had 4,000 runners, and now it's up to 17,000. Congratulations to all who were a part of it, and all the great work by the folks who put it on, and by the Cincinnati police. I mean, those guys have been down here morning, noon, and night through the entire weekend doing a great job. Two and two on Omar Infante. I was giving one of the officers a hard time. I asked him if he lost his razor.
Really?
Because he had the stubble going. He got a kick out of it. I'm glad he did. He could have gone the other way on me. 3-2 now on Infante.
It's just a Scott Rowland look. Tom Browning look.
Right.
You know?
And there's ball 4 to Infante. Arroyo got ahead of him at 1-2 and lost him in the at-bat. 1 on, 1 out. Hanley Ramirez coming up.
I'm surprised to see Infante in the ball game. Actually, the way he left the game last night looked like he was really going to be crippled all day today. Johnny Gomes, Stubbs, and Jay Bruce in the outfield. Chris Valleca gets a start at third base today. Paul Yonich, Brandon Phillips, and Votto, and Arroyo and Hannigan. They're the battery. That's our forward defense.
1 on, 1 out for Hanley Ramirez, an even 200 batter with 9 runs batted in, and there's strike 1. That's the last time the Reds are going to see these Marlins for quite a while, and you're hoping at least for one more game. Hanley Ramirez does not get it going offensively.
But you hope he does begin to get it going starting tomorrow, because the Marlins leave here and they go to St. Louis.
Good point. High and deep into left field. Johnny Gomes at the base of the wall will watch it go. Ramirez, his first home run since September of last year. A 2-run shot here in the first inning today.
Boy, if nothing else, these Reds pitchers are consistent. They have almost game in and game out put their team behind the 8 ball a little bit by giving up a crooked number here in the first frame. Looks like Arroyo wanted to feather a little changeup low and away, and boy, that ball just kind of came all the way across the strike zone. And Hanley Ramirez, who's really had a hard time so far this young baseball season, jolted on out of here.
His last home run came September the 6th of last season. There's a ground ball off the bat of Gaby Sanchez, and Giannis will throw him out. Chris, the numbers back it up. That is now 8 consecutive games. 8 straight home games.
That's hard to do.
Where Red starters have allowed at least 1 run in the first inning.
Well, if it was only 1 run, it wouldn't be so bad. But more often than not, it seems like it's a much bigger number than that. The other night with Travis Wood, it was, what, 5 or 6 in the first inning? Yeah, you got 2 right here. It's tough. Edinson only gave up 1 last night against Josh Johnson. Looked like Johnson was going to make that 1 run stand up, and he did while he was in the ball game, but the Reds were able to make some business with the bullpen.
Mike Stanton with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. And a swing and a miss. It goes to 1-2.
And he looks a little rusty right now. You know, Mike Stanton missed a lot of the spring training. had some leg problems. He also had another hamstring problem in the year, early in the season here in April, and he sat himself out for another week. So this is really just about the end of spring training time for him. You talk to people that travel with the Marlins team, and they watch this young man play and practice every day. They just think that he has no ceiling. I mean, it's just unlimited, the potential that he has.
Swing and a miss, and that'll do it in the Marlins' first inning. First home run for Ramirez in 136 plate appearances, a 2-0 Florida lead. Lineup today. Drew Stubbs in center. Jay Bruce again batting second and right. Joey Votto at first. Brandon Phillips in the cleanup spot. Johnny Gomes in left with Ryan Hannigan behind the plate. Paul Giannis at short. Chris Valleca, as Chris mentioned, to start down at third, and Bronson Arroyo on the mound. And starting at for Florida, 2-0 right-hander Ricky Nolasco.
Oh, he's 2-0. Nice earned run average, down around 3.2. He's a guy that will not walk very many batters at all. Look at the 22 strikeouts and only 4 bases on balls. He really prides himself on being around the strike zone, making the hitters earn their way on base. Has a variety of pitches, and the young man can pitch.
Talked about the Reds in 8 consecutive home games. They've allowed runs to the opponent in the first inning. Today is their 16th home game overall this year. In 12 of the 16, they have allowed first inning runs. 32 total runs allowed in the first inning this year by the Reds, which is by far the most allowed among all National League teams. So, boy, when you talk about earning come from behind wins, the Reds are earning them, because more times than not, they're behind before they ever come to the plate, especially right here at home. Very good numbers for Stubbs against this Florida right-hander. Cardinals and the Braves are tied at 5 in the bottom of the 9th inning at Turner Field, and there's a base hit into center field by Stubbs. Florida defensively presented by Ford, and again it'll be Coughlin in center, flanked by Bonifacio and Stanton. Dobbs again to start down at third base. Got the start in the game here yesterday. And a battery of Nolasco and Buck. 0-1 to Jay Bruce. A .287 batter. 237, I beg your pardon. 4 home runs and 11 runs batted in. So he drew 9 out of 10 in stolen base attempts. Can you run on Nolasco?
Yes, you can. They've had 3 successful stolen bases this year. Nobody thrown out yet. Overall in his career, and of course they've had a change in catchers this year. This is the first year for John Buck behind the plate. He's a pretty good catch and throw guy. And he's given up 36 stolen bases and has had 22 caught.
Stubbs second only to Michael Bourne of the Astros in the stolen base category among all National Leaguers. Bourne has 11, Drew with 9. High drive into right center field, and just like that, we're tied.
Oh, 2-0 pitch. You're looking for something straight, and he got it straight. Looked like Ricky Nolasco wanted to take something off that pitch. I'm not sure if it was a sinking fastball, maybe split his fingers a little bit to take the velocity off of it, but he got it down and out over the plate, and that's where Jay Bruce likes it.
5th home run this season for Jay Bruce. So we begin anew here in the bottom of the 1st inning. The Marlins got a 2-run home run by Ramirez. The Reds answer with a 2-run bomb from Jay Bruce. And now 26 trips to the plate. Jay Bruce batting in that 2-hole has 3 home runs. So until Scott Rowland comes back or Juan Francisco ahead of him, Jay probably will bat in that number 2 spot for a little while. 1-1 to Joey Votto. And a breaking ball is in. I mean, the 2 guys, you know, Chris, that don't seem to mind at all, and I'm not suggesting that it does for any of the players. But, I mean, Votto's never going to be moved, but, you know, Bruce and Phillips seem like they'll hit anywhere that Dusty wants to ride them in.
Well, you know, Brandon Phillips is probably the most versatile hitter in this lineup. There's no question about that. Jay Bruce will benefit like anybody in hitting in front of Joey Votto. You're going to get more pitches to hit. So here you got Votto on deck. Drew Stubbs at first base, and your Jay Bruce standing in the batter's box with a 2-0 count. You know for certain that Ricky Nolasco, who's got good control, is going to throw you a strike. So you're ready to swing. Bruce was ready, and he put the good wood to it. So you credit Bruce, obviously, for being ready, but you get a little bit of credit for Votto to be who he is, batting right behind him.
Following the home run by Bruce, it's a walk to Votto, and here comes Brandon Phillips. Phillips was a guy who ignited the game-tying 3-run rally in the 8th inning last night. He had a 2-out double to left center field, and then the Reds got to work. RBI single by Gomes, RBI single by Cairo, a hit by Hernandez, a game-tying single by Yadish. And then they won it, of course, in the bottom of the 10th inning. Now remember, in the 1st inning yesterday there were 2 out, but in the 1st inning yesterday with Votto at first base and Josh Johnson on the mound, the Reds played hit and run with this combination with Phillips at the plate. Breaking ball on the outside corner, a strike, and Brandon shot that thing through the right side, sending Votto on to third base. Bunt his way on, and it rolls foul.
How many number 4 hitters do you see they're going to square up and do that in the 1st inning?
Not many.
I mean, that's why he's versatile. He sees an opportunity. He knows that this is a team game, that this ball club really needs a win here this afternoon. After kind of stealing a win from the Marlins last night, and he'll do whatever it takes.
Tell you, the more and more you watch the Reds, and of course Brandon Phillips has this year left on his contract. The Reds have an option on another year for Brandon Phillips next year, which they can pick up at any time. This guy is playing better than at any point in his entire big league career. And as soon as you say it, it's a double play. Well, you brought it up last night. I mean, think about how long that highlight reel is going to be at the end of the season on defense for Brandon Phillips. What about just the first month now with April behind us and today being the 1st of May?
Well, he has already made 2 of the best barehanded plays by a second baseman that I've seen in a long time. One, I'm not sure how he could get any better than that. The one he did earlier in the year, I think it was against the Houston Astros, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was in a tie game with a winning run at third base.
Right.
And I'm not sure there's any other second baseman on the planet that would have made that play to throw the runner out at first.
You know, you really don't appreciate sometimes how good a defense that he will give you until you put somebody else out there in that same spot.
I don't want to think about that.
No, I don't either. And the Reds, we've been spoiled over the years with the great second baseman we've had. I mean, going all the way back to Ronnie Oster. I mean, he could play like nobody else at the time. Brett Boone came through here. Pokey Reese converted from shortstop to second base. I think Pokey may have won a Gold Glove there. It's been a good run of second base.
Well, you're not kidding.
Maybe you got to go back further than Ronnie Oster and go to Joe Moore. Go back beyond Joe Morgan, go to Tommy Helms.
No question about it.
So he's just filling in for big shoes and doing a nice job.
3-1 to Johnny. Broken bat. Down to third, able to handle it as Dobbs is thrown in the dirt, but picked out of there by Sanchez. But after falling behind 2-0, Jay Bruce says take that with Drew Stubbs aboard. A 2-2 affair. Serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. We were talking about Brandon Phillips here. You get a look at some of the plays.
I mean, you combine the defense. Yeah, a lot of guys can play D, but you can do that and also do a little bit on offense. And you're right, Tom. Doesn't matter where you play him. Second spot in the order, lead off, clean up. That's a pretty nice side to right side of the infield. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Good start.
There are obviously clubs out there that'll say, oh, wait a minute, what about our two guys? And the first duo that comes to mind would certainly be the Yankees. I mean, they have Mark Teixeira down there at first base, and they have Robinson Cano at second base. That's a good duo. I say I'm not so sure that duo edges out this duo.
There's no way.
Two and one to Greg Dobbs. This is a play we were talking about that Phillips made with a winning run at third base. This was against San Diego. Look at that play. 3-2 Florida leads on the home run by Dobbs.
Could be one of those kind of days, huh?
Second home run of the year by Greg Dobbs. 3 home runs hit so far today, and we're just in the top of the second inning.
Well, the first home run the Marlins hit was on an 0-1 pitch to Hanley Ramirez. It looked like a changeup that came back over the plate. But when you get down 3 balls and 1 strike, and you have to come in there to a left-handed hitter, Bronson Arroyo really doesn't have much to get those guys out with. He's got to almost give them a good opportunity to get themselves out, and a ball in that part of the strike zone does not qualify.
So the Marlins right back on top. A leadoff home run by Dobbs here in the second inning. At 6 home runs, Arroyo is allowed now in 30 innings of work. Valleca to his left, throws out John Buck, one away.
Take a deep breath now, Chris. It's always nice to get the first out, ground out when you're down there. You haven't played that position very much. Chris Valleca gets his first ever start as a third baseman in the major leagues. And, you know, you have some butterflies down there until the balls hit you once or twice. And you make the play and you say, all right, now I feel comfortable. My feet are grounded. I'm ready to go.
Bonifacio, a 3+ 100 hitter coming into play today. A couple of runs batted in. We've seen him play third base in this series, and he's played left field. Of course, they're waiting on Logan Morrison to get back in their regular lineup. Another young, very talented Florida Marlin who just got out of a cast. He's had a problem with the arch on one of his feet. He was hoping to be back maybe this week, and a lot of the folks around the Marlins are saying no way that's going to happen, but perhaps not shortly after that. I mean, what a start for these Marlins. You know, overwhelmingly, and rightfully so, the Philadelphia Phillies have been picked by everybody and his brother to run away in the National League East. There are some that have gone out on a limb that'll say, hey, wait a minute now, keep an eye on the Atlanta Braves, and certainly there's a lot to like with the Braves. Atlanta, by the way, just beat St. Louis in the bottom of the 9th inning. There's a liner right at Valleca. You remember the name Brooks Conrad?
Sure do.
I know the Reds remember that name.
Oh, yeah.
He had a single off Ryan Franklin to score Alex Gonzalez with a winning run in the 9th inning. But look at the Marlins. 16-9 going into play today.
Was that their best ever April? Is that right?
Yep. Well, yes, best ever start after 27 games.
Okay. And they're still behind the Philadelphia Phillies. And the Phillies aren't healthy. They've lost their 2 closers and 2 guys at the back end of the bullpen, and of course their all-star and great second baseman Chase Utley. That's a tough division because the Phillies are in it.
That's a really tough division. There's a lot of people tell me the Nationals, now we'll see how it all plays out, but you saw, what, a game under 500? A lot of people will tell you that they are a lot better than they were a year ago. And during the second half of last season, they started to play a little bit better. Of course, they got bad news. Ryan Zimmerman, their outstanding third baseman, just went on the disabled list. Houston, by the way, leading Milwaukee that game in the bottom of the 8th inning, and the Astros in front 5-0. Houston trying to win that series. It's a rubber game of that set today. Valleca handles 3 in a row perfectly. But damage done. The 2-2 tie is snapped on a home run from Greg Dobbs in a 3-2 Florida lead. Minutes before every game with Reds Live on Fox Sports Ohio, and it's presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Lights have been turned on. This 4:10 start. Following the Flying Pig Marathon in downtown Cincinnati today, the Marlins got a 2-run home run from Hanley Ramirez in the top of the first. Jay Bruce, a 2-run home run in the bottom of the inning, and that man right there, Greg Dobbs, broke the 2-2 tie with a solo home run in the second. So Ryan Hannigan, Paul Giannis, Chris Valleca coming up. By the way, coming up tomorrow, we'll continue our Tech Talks presented by CBTS with umpire Ted Barrett.
He's done a nice job. I'll tell you, I really enjoyed working with him out there in Arizona. He was kind enough to give us about an hour and a half. I asked him, first I said, hey, Ted, get you out there for half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. We were close to 2 hours. We covered all sorts of things. And I thought it was very interesting today, the one we did about erasing the back line in the batter's box and how umpires will sometimes make a reference point on the side of the cut circle. So when it's erased at the end of the game, they can look and find out whether a guy actually is in the box or not.
Knocked down by Dobbs, and his throw is in time to get Hannigan.
Well, they teach you in the low minor leagues. If you muff a ball in the infield, stay with it. Look around for it quickly. It might be right there, and you may still be able to get it out. And that's exactly what Greg Dobbs does. He looks down between his shoes, and there it is. Say, hey, I can get this guy still. So many times, especially in amateur ball time, you see a guy boot a ball, he hangs his head, and the play's over. Not realizing you still have a shot.
Well, Paul Giannis has been mighty clutch the last couple of nights. Had that RBI double in the 9th inning when the Reds scored twice, but of course came up 1 run short. And then yesterday in the 8th inning, 2 outs, 2-1, a game-tying single into left field. Good series here for Paul Giannis. 3 out of 9, a couple of RBIs, a pair of doubles. Behind in the count, 2 Nolasco at 1 ball and 2 strikes.
The key to the Reds game last night was the fact that they were able to get 2-out hits. They were 10 for 19 last night against the Marlins with 2 outs. And you know, there's nothing sweeter than a 2-out run batted in. You're looking at a guy that had a big one.
That is a foul ball.
Prior to that, if you want to put a little measuring stick on it, the Marlins had held their opponents to a 165 batting average with 2 outs in the last 14 games. But the Reds just blew that stat wide open.
Check swing and a miss, and that's strike 3. First of the game so far by Ricky Nolasco, and they're 2 away in the inning.
Well, he's got all the different kinds of pitches Nolasco does. A splitter, a slider. Looks like he puts a little slide action on this one. That might be a splitter looking at the spin on it, but I would imagine it's a slider going down and away from Paul Giannis and picks up a strikeout. In a starting lineup for the first time since he came up from the minor leagues. 0 for 2 so far, both appearances as a pinch hitter. Swung on and fouled back out of play in the count, even at 1 ball and 1 strike.
In 16 games this year down at AAA Louisville, Valaika, 306 batter, a double, a home run, 6 batted in. Played primarily at second base and a couple of games down at third. Well, he got a hanging breaking ball right there and pops it up in a short right. And Velasco back with a perfect second. We move to the third where the Marlins are in front of the Reds by a score of 3-2.
I come for the be in this situation before a lot of time, and I just looking for one pitch. And trying no miss with the throw, you know, and I put a good swing and that fastball inside, and the ball go through.
So our Geico Direct quote from Edgar Renteria with 2 outs and the bases loaded in a tie game in the 10th. Found a hole to the left side to drive in the winning run. So today the decisive game of this 3-game series after Renteria's heroics last night. And the Marlins out to a 3-2 lead. Coughlin, a slow roller to Giannis. He's got a cannon for an arm and throws out the speedy Coughlin, 1 away.
How about a birthday wish?
How about it?
How about a happy 102nd birthday to Caroline Haas? Now, her birthday was Saturday. She was here at the game with 15 of her family and friends here at the ball game on Saturday. Getting that Joey Votto bobblehead because she's a huge Joey Votto fan. And that would be the mother of our good friend Greg Rhodes.
I'll be doing. You and I ran into Greg the other night.
Yeah, we sure did. We sure did. So we wish you a very happy birthday, Carolyn. And enjoy the day, and let's hope Joey Votto has a big day for you.
Indeedy. Happy birthday. 102. You know, I heard from Robert downstairs. I know you did the other day when we come in the ballpark where we park every single day. And, of course, his neighbor's related to the sister that we wished a happy 100th birthday to a couple of days ago. Well, and she was very excited about it. But 102. Valaika, nice play on a fair ball. And a throw in plenty of time.
Well, we've seen him play a little defense, mostly at second base when he was called up last year. But he can play. Plays all the way around the infield. He's drafted as a shortstop. Got a nice arm. Makes a good grab on the foul side of the bag right there after the ball crosses the bag in fair territory. Got a good glove man over there at third base. We'll get you some more ground balls. How's that, Chris?
Been a busy man down there. He's taking care of 4 of Bronson Arroyo's outs thus far through the first 2 2/3 innings. And here's Ramirez.
You know, it's funny, early in the year, not much of a sample size, only through your first 5 starts, but Bronson's rate of ground balls isn't nearly what it was last year and years before. So you're hoping that he gets deeper into the season, he starts finding that sinking fastball, because gets dangerous here to be a fly ball pitcher, especially a contact fly ball pitcher like Bronson Arroyo. One thing if you're Johnny Cueto or Edinson Volquez dialing it up there in the mid-90s, getting lots of strikeouts. But when you rely on contact, you want to keep it on the ground here.
Arroyo ahead of Hanley Ramirez, who hit that 2-run home run to left field in the first inning. It's no balls and 2 strikes. Angel Hernandez calling the balls and strikes today. Paul Schreiber down at first, Chad Fairchild at second, and Joe West, the crew chief, over at third base. Reds will welcome the Houston Astros to town beginning tomorrow night. Night game, day game on Wednesday to close out this 6-game stand. Short hop pickup. Valleca, how about it? Do it, young man. Couple of dandies by Valleca to end that third inning. By that. You know the drill. If a Reds player hits a Toyota sign during our game today, Nicholas Contras of Westchester, who currently owns a 1998 4Runner, will win the beautiful new Tundra on display each and every day at Great American Ballpark. And you can register for your chance to win it by stopping by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. Marlins 3, Reds 2 after 2.5 at Great American Ballpark. Arroyo 2 out of 10 as a batter. He'll be followed by Drew Stubbs and Jay Bruce. 0-2. Not only did the Reds get Bronson Arroyo back on March the 2nd in 2006 from Boston, but they also got a pile of money in exchange for Willie Mo Pena. And what a deal that has turned out to be for the Cincinnati Reds.
You think?
I mean, you look at two of the guys in the lineup today, Arroyo and Brandon Phillips. And I mean, you're talking about two of the great deals ever made by any team.
You're right about that.
Well, FoxSportsOhio.com's Hall of Fame baseball writer Hal McCoy is standing by right now for a live in-game chat. It's brought to you only on FoxSportsOhio.com by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO and SafeAuto.com.
I know that Wayne Krivsky, as GM, made that deal for Brandon Phillips from the Cleveland Indians. I think for, was it Scott Stevens, a pitcher? Jeff Stevens. Who was the GM who did the Willie Mo deal? That was
I'm thinking Dan O'Brien.
You know what? I think it was Wayne Krivsky.
Might have been Wayne Krivsky.
Now, if you like 5 o'clock home runs, Willie Moe's your man. And that would turn out to be a great deal for the Reds long term.
That's one thing among many things you certainly have to respect about current general manager Walt Jocketty. He's not been afraid to give a lot of credit to both of the prior GMs that were here, in Wayne Krivsky and Dan O'Brien, and some of the work that they did, not only in some of the players that they acquired, whether it be through a trade or through free agency, but through the scouting. Second hit today for Drew Stubbs.
Well, I think part of that, Tom, is the people that they hired beneath them. Some of those guys are still in the system, like Chris Buckley, who heads up the amateur scouting for the Reds and essentially takes care of the draft. I mean, and the Reds have drafted so much better since he has gotten here. The scouting up and down the system is much better. So if you're Walt Jocketty, you're getting much better feedback from much more reliable scouts than ever before. And I think that investment in that part of the business has really paid off.
Chris, you are right. It was Wayne Krivsky that made both of those deals.
We see Wayne around here from time to time. Of course, he's a front office operative and scout with the New York Mets.
Always enjoy getting a chance to see him.
Yeah.
Good guy. Really good guy.
It's funny how the two former GMs still make their home in this area, I believe. I know Wayne lives around this area, and Dan O'Brien.
Dan, of course, a right-hand man to Doug Melvin, now with the Milwaukee Brewers. 1-0 the count on Bruce. He homered his first at bat with Stubbs aboard. Drew carrying the tying run over there at first here in the bottom of the third inning. 1 out. Well, it's been great having these big crowds here throughout the entire weekend. Last night, obviously, a sellout, but nearly 30,000 in the opener, and probably somewhere in that neighborhood here today. And if you have a chance, come on down tomorrow night, Tuesday night, and Wednesday afternoon.
Same count as Jay Bruce's home run, his first time up. 2-0 with a runner on.
Runner goes, and it's grounded foul. Threw him an all-speed pitch that time, 2-0.
Yeah, he did. He looked like he threw him an 88-mile-an-hour pitch the first time. I'm not sure what that pitch was still. That last one, though, I think more of a splitter. 82 miles an hour. Tried to really bury it down and inside and get Bruce to roll over the top of it.
Well, he started the runner 2-0. 2-1 is also a very good count if you're thinking about hitting and running. We'll see what Dusty Baker elects to do. Stubbs a pretty good lead over there at first. And he is running. And Jay is swinging, and again it's fouled off.
Most of the time, Drew Stubbs is on his own. He's got the green light. There are situations where Dusty Baker will put the stop sign on him. But if he feels he can get a jump, he'll go.
You're on with us in the first inning. Stubbs 9 out of 10 in stolen base attempts so far this year. Two to Jay Bruce. And again, Nolasco keeping a watchful eye on Stubbs leading at first base. Sounded like he broke his bat. That's because he did. Boy, how about the Cleveland Indians for a minute? The Detroit Tigers come rolling in for the weekend. And the Tigers go limping out of town, having been swept by the Indians.
Who would have thought it?
Cleveland with the best record in Major League Baseball, 19-8. They have ripped off 6 straight wins.
You know, we saw that Indian team in spring training, and quite frankly, they weren't very impressive at all. Just goes to show you what you do in March in Arizona doesn't mean a darn thing.
Well, our old buddy Orlando Cabrera said even through the first week and a half of the year, remember the first 2 games of the year, the Indians got slaughtered. Runner goes, pitch taken, throw will sail into center field. Stubbs to his feet, but not in enough time to advance on to third.
Well, he had a much bigger jump that time than on the previous offering when Jay Bruce fouled it off on the 2-1 pitch. That ball just looked like it just ran right out of the hand of John Buck. Had a big lead, did not slip out of the runner's box right there, and he came sliding in, had to slide under the shortstop who came cutting across the bag. So you got him out there.
Yep, got him out there. The tying run, and to finish, I thought Cabrera came out and said after about a weekend of the year, he said, I like this team a lot. It reminds me a lot of the Reds team from last year. 10 stolen bases this year, 50 of them for Stubbs, and a lot more where that came from. 3-2 to Bruce. Hanging in there.
It's funny that when the Reds played against the Milwaukee Brewers, the Brewers shifted their infield defense way around, like Bruce was the dead pull hitter, and they shifted their outfield defense the other way, like he would hit the ball the other way. The Marlins are doing the exact opposite right here. They shift them to pull in the outfield and really play him straight up in the infield. Maybe a little bit shaded over here at second base with Hanley Ramirez, but that's in part to keep Drew Stubbs close to the bag.
Pitch number 8 in this at bat upcoming from Nolasco to Jay Bruce. Stubbs a tying run out at second base with 1 away. We're in the bottom of the 3rd inning. And here is pitch number 8 from Nolasco. Go to the right side. Able to scoop it up is Sanchez. He'll win the race to the bag. Stubbs on to third. 2 out. Votto coming up. Got to wonder how much Votto will get to hit with a tying run at third and 2 away, and a right-handed batter, albeit a good one, but a right-handed batter on deck in Brandon Phillips. Joey walked his first time up. Good breaking ball in the outside corner, a strike. Of course, going back to last year, Joey Votto now has reached base in 45 consecutive starts. He's been on base every game this year because he started every game this year. 28 in a row.
If you remember last year, he had 41 in a row. Then he started that game in Chicago against the Cubs, was called out on strikes in the first inning, and proceeded to argue the call and get thrown out of the ballgame. That ended the streak. Then when he started back and played the next day, he ran off another 10.
Of course, that was the day when Votto learned that he had not made the National League All-Star team.
Yeah, you know, but that was part of it. I think the other part of it was he was pitching that day.
Slow roller to the right side, and that'll do it. So they pitched to Votto with a runner at third, and they get him out.
We'll get back to that. I've got a story to tell about that.
By JTM Food Group. JTM Food Group, proudly serving America's restaurants, schools, retailers, and our military. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. For a dealer near you, visit buyatoyota.com. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by John Deere. Visit your local Cincinnati John Deere dealer this deer season. Sanchez leads it off with a fly ball to center field, and that's an out to begin the fourth inning with the Marlins in front 3-2.
All right, Tom, let's go back July 4th last year. Joey Votto in Wrigley Field. He strikes out, argues balls and strikes, and it ruins his streak of getting on base at 41. That's Ted Lilly on the mound. Earlier in the at-bat, he threw one that came very close to Joey Votto's head. And Joey Votto was so angry at Lilly because he said he had done that before. A lot of people thought that he went off because he just found out that he was not named to the All-Star game, and he was angry about that, about being left off. That was not the case at all. His anger was actually at the Cubs pitcher and ended up exploding at the umpire, and that's the rest of the story.
Of course, to put an exclamation point as it is popped up to the right side by Stanton, and there are 2 outs in the inning. You may remember what happened the rest of that game. The Reds won the game 14-3. Paul Janisch came into the game at third base in the bottom of the first after Votto was ejected. Janisch wound up with 4 hits, 3 runs scored, 3 RBIs, all career highs, hit a 2-run home run.
Yep.
That's the kind of year it was for the Reds.
How about our guy Matt Sigafus coming up with that video, like on the fly?
On top of his game every day. Every single day. And how many people around here can you say that about on our crew?
Well, neither of us up here.
That's a given.
Except for Jesse Jackson.
Well, and even Strick and Joel. You know, I'll give it up to them. And really our crew almost entirely. Almost. It's a big word, almost.
There's only 2 of us then that don't qualify.
It's kind of thinking along those same lines. There's a little bleeder in the center field off the bat of Greg Dobbs. Dobbs homered his first time up. So he's aboard with 2 men out for John Buck. Three runs, 3 hits for the Marlins, 2 runs and 3 hits for the Reds. Buck bounced out to Chris Valleca's only time up today. Behind the count on Buck at 1-0. Good pitch there in on his hands, and it's dropped foul and out of play. Driven into straightaway center field, and that'll fall in for a hit. So back-to-back singles from Dobbs and Buck after the first 2 were retired here in the 4th inning.
Well, they tried to blow a fastball by John Buck right here and just got it up in the strike zone. Buck's a strong guy, and there's 2 on here with 2 out.
The Astros have finished off the Brewers today. Bud Norris pitching a shutout in a 5-0 Houston win. So both the Cardinals and the Brewers lose today. The Cubs are in action out west in Arizona. A 1-1 game there in the bottom of the 4th inning. As you take a look at the National League Central Division standings presented by Honda. Pirates are roughing up Colorado in the bottom of the 5th inning out in Denver. 8-2 the score there. So the Reds with a win have a chance to pull within 1 game of the Cardinals, who today by losing end a 4-game winning streak. Cardinals had a big lead in that one and let it get away. They have blown a National League high 8 save chances. Bonifacio hits it on the ground to Votto, and the Marlins strand 2. Phillips, Gomes, Hannigan coming up with the Reds down a run. Question: what 2 major league teams has Bronson Arroyo never recorded a win against?
Well, it's amazing that there's only 2 teams out there that he hasn't beaten.
Trying to think who we saw the other day. Maybe it's Javier Vazquez. I think he's one of 2 active pitchers that has beaten every team in the major leagues, if I'm not mistaken.
You've got to be around with different teams to do that. Now, Bronson obviously pitched a long time in the American League, but that should give you a hint right there as to who he pitched for. I'm pretty sure he only pitched for 1 American League team.
I might be mistaken Javier Vazquez with a game I called last weekend. Brad Penny might be a guy that's done it as well. Although Penny has not spent a lot of time over in the American League. We got to take a look at. There are only 2 active pitchers, I know that have beaten every team in the big leagues. 0-1 on Brandon Phillips. And a ground ball down to 3rd. 1 out.
Both these pitchers today throwing strikes, pitching to contact. Only a couple of strikeouts for Ricky Nolasco on the afternoon, and Bronson has 1.
Breaking ball, and it's in the air. Short right center. Coghlan calling off Stanton. Just like that, the first 2 Reds retired by Nolasco here in the 4th inning. Reds trailing 3-2, and we remind you as always, when the Reds get it done with an RBI this year, that means another $25 from Shakely goes to the Reds Community Fund. Shakely, it's done. Hannigan bounced out to 3rd, his only at bat today, and looks at a first pitch fastball right down the middle, a called strike.
Tom, you're talking about the upcoming series, the Astros coming into town. Well, one bit of note from the Astros, Carlos Lee carted off the field in a cart after having a collision in the outfield this afternoon. This is right after he hit a home run. He collided with a shortstop, Angel Sanchez, on a pop-up that was going into shallow left field, and they're examining his ribcage. So he may be very questionable for the series against the Reds.
Well, we obviously are hoping he's going to be all right. Hook foul. Astros getting that win today. We showed you a moment ago. Now 11 up, 17 down. Pitching matchups in that series, it'll be J.A. Happ against Mike Leake on Monday night. Sam LeCure and Hanley Rodriguez will go on Tuesday night. And then on Wednesday, Travis Wood will face the Astros ace, who really handcuffed the Reds earlier this year, handing them, in fact, their first loss of the year, and that's right-hander Brett Myers. 1-2 on Ryan Hannigan. Check swing. It didn't look like he went. He did not. You know, you heard from Hal McCoy, the Hall of Fame baseball writer, during Reds Live before the game, and many of us thought we might see Homer Bailey as early as the weekend in Chicago, but it appears as though they're going to give him one more minor league start just to keep his turn in the rotation, so not to disrupt the guys that are currently in it with a couple of off days upcoming. And Homer told him that it would be May the 10th. That is after the Reds get through Wrigley Field, and through with the at-bat is Hannigan. A 1-2-3-4 for Nolasco. We move to the 5th with the Marlins still leading 3-2. Teams as Bronson Arroyo never recorded a win against in both leagues. Facing one of them here today, the Florida Marlins, and the other, the only American League team for which he ever pitched, and that would be the Boston Red Sox. Of course, the Reds will not play the Red Sox this year, even though they are playing the American League East. They'll play every team in that division except for Boston. There's a roller by Nolasco, and Votto will go to the bag, 1 out. Of course, everybody's been talking since the schedule came out about the Yankees coming into town. It'll be Toronto the 17th, 18th, 19th of June here at Great American Ballpark. Then June 20th, 21st, 22nd, the Yankees come in. Then the Reds go to Baltimore and Tampa Bay, 3 games in each series there. But because of the natural rivalry and the home-and-home series against Cleveland, The odd team out, the Red Sox. That's why a lot of people don't like interleague play. If I'm not mistaken, a team like Milwaukee this year, I mean, I was looking at their schedule for the month of June. I don't know if I've ever seen a team that has a tougher schedule over 1 month than the Milwaukee Brewers this year play in the month of June, because they're playing the Yankees, they're playing Tampa Bay, they're playing the Boston Red Sox.
Well, you can say that nearly every year about the New York Mets. When your natural rivalry is living in the Bronx, that's not an easy interleague assignment.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why a lot of people don't like it.
As it was earlier in the 90s, when interleague play just started, and the Reds would have to go out and play the Cleveland Indians when they were monstrous.
Well, it's funny. I mean, you looked at the beginning of this year, based on what you talked about, what we saw in spring training. And the Reds coming off a divisional championship, down year last year for the Tribe. Now all of a sudden here you're a month into the year and you're saying, I got to play those guys 6 times.
Yeah.
They got the best record in baseball. It will be interesting to see if indeed Major League Baseball adds 2 more teams, and it's been talked about, and frankly it looks like it's going to be a slam dunk about adding a team in each league to the playoffs maybe as early as next year, on whether they go back and perhaps readdress the way that interleague baseball is played, or whether they'll make some alterations to it, or maybe for a couple of years just do away with it entirely.
Well, as long as it continues to boost attendance, they're not doing away with it.
Two and two to Coghlan. Hold to Votto. And again, he'll take it himself. Starting to see Votto do that more and more and more. And we talk about Mark Grace, a great defensive third baseman for so many years in the major leagues, and now one of his real pet peeves are first basemen that throw the ball to the pitcher when they don't have to. Votto made a habit of that the last couple of years. This year he rarely throws to first when he doesn't have to.
Well, his last 3 times he's made the last 3 outs the same way. Fielded it, tagged the bag himself. So we are seeing him do it more and more.
There are times you have to do it. A hot smash far to your right.
Now, you've got a Gold Glove pitcher out there, though. You've got a lot of confidence that you can flip the ball up to Arroyo, and he's going to figure out a way to tag the bag and catch the ball at the same time. The key for a pitcher, though, is really to get there early on and get to the bag so you don't have to catch it exactly at the same time. Touch the bag and catch the ball.
Breaking ball in there to Omar Infante to get ahead 1 ball and 2 strikes. Infante walked in the first inning. He was aboard when Hanley Ramirez hit a 2-run home run. Arroyo trying to put together a 1-2-3 fifth. 2-2 on Infante. And it's in the air. Foul. Ground. Votto is there. It is a perfect inning. Yanis Arroyo coming up. Reds still down a run. Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame and Museum, and during the month of May, buy a full-price admissions ticket and receive the first in a set of 5 Johnny Bench collectible bobbleheads while supplies last, thanks to Dinsmore and Scholl. For more information, visit redsmuseum.org. All right, Reds down 3-2. Paul Janisch to lead things off against Ricky Nolasco in the bottom of the 5th inning. Janisch struck out swinging his first time up. Nolasco has walked 1. That was in the first inning. He's allowed 2 runs on 3 hits. And both runs and 3 of the hits came on the first 2 batters of the game, bobbled by Ramirez. But his throw is in time. If you're looking to finish your basement, log on to foxsportsohio.com and bid on a basement finishing system from the Basement Guys, valued at $20,000. Go to foxsportsohio.com and place your bid now. Valleca popped up to right on a hanging breaking ball his first time up. Back up through the middle, and Ramirez gets to it. The pirouette, perfect throw. 2 gone. Nolasco getting on a pretty good roll here.
Well, just like Bronson Arroyo, you know, they're beginning to feel their pitches. Nice release points coming out of their hands, moving it down to the lower part of the strike zone. These guys are getting a lot of ground balls. I mean, yeah, the pop-up by Infante to end the inning, but, you know, beyond that, you're looking at just a lot of routine ground balls, routine fly balls.
13 out of 14 retired by Nolasco, including the last 7, and now Arroyo. Sinking liner, and it gets by the diving Bonifacio, and this will be at least 2 for Arroyo, and he'll pull up right there with a double.
And if he didn't have mono, he'd probably be on third base right now. Doesn't want to wear himself out. A little bit of a hitch in his swing, good old-fashioned swing, throws the top hand, the humpback line drive, and Bonifacio had to go. He had to run a little bit to get to this ball.
And safe at second base is Bronson Arroyo, safe and secure. New York line. Been a good day for Drew Stubbs. A single, scored a run on the Bruce home run in the first inning. Singled again in the third, stole a base, wound up stranded at third. And now trying to drive in that tying run here in the last of the 5th inning. Two-out double by the Reds pitcher. The Reds only their second hit since a Jay Bruce home run in the first. And it's 1-1 on Drew Stubbs. And it hits him. Boy, that was high and tight.
Yeah, that got up there above the shoulder area right there.
Behind that left shoulder. But Performance Honda Exmo. All right, now Jay Bruce had that 2-run home run to the seats in right center field in the first inning, his 5th of the year, then bounced out to the first baseman in the 3rd. Breaking ball, strike on the outer edge. Breaking ball again misses low and away. But it looked like Nolasco, after getting burned by that fastball and a 2-0 count in the first inning, is going to give Jay Bruce many more of those. Arroyo leads at second. Likewise for Stubbs over at first. Off speed again. A swing and a miss. Jay trying to get going in situations just like this as we begin the second month of the year. With runners in scoring position and 2 men out so far this year, Bruce only 1-for-11.
Well, he's not got a tough customer there in Nolasco because he, in that same situation, scoring position 2 out, batting average against is .070. This guy really bows his neck in tough situations.
2-2 pitch with 2 on and 2 out. Good eye there by Bruce.
Nolasco really teasing him here. He got ahead of him 1-2. Then he threw a fastball in the outside corner, 1-2-2. Bounce a curveball right there. You know, first and second and 2 out, and Joey Votto behind you. Jay Bruce has got to figure he's getting a strike. Might not be a fastball, but he knows in this count he's probably going to be swinging the bat. Nolasco does not walk very many people, especially ahead of the league MVP.
All right, runners get started. Arroyo and Stubbs on a 3-2 to Jay Bruce. Nolasco delivers. Off speed, and boy, fooled him badly. In the air, short left. Inning over.
Inning here on Fox Sports Ohio. Jim Day with you just beside the Reds dugout. Homer Bailey, another impressive rehab start yesterday. How did Johnny Cueto do today? Well, let's check out his numbers in Louisville. As far as the line goes, 4 2/3 innings pitched, only 5 hits, 1 run was earned. That's the good news. Now, the bad news is the Reds are trying to get him more innings down there. He threw 99 pitches through 4 2/3 innings. Now, speaking of Louisville, after every game, we put a capper on the Reds game, and tonight, or today after the game, we will go down on the farm. We'll check in on the rest of the players in Louisville, including that hot-hitting Dave Sapelt. It's Reds Live postgame brought to you by Kings Honda and the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. Back upstairs to the Champion Windows broadcast booth, and guys, this high pitching count, nothing new for Johnny Cueto. By the way, thanks to Chris Spire, he's crushing me with sunflower seeds right now.
It's good. Must really hurt.
Through the whole report, he's just killing me.
Man. You got to wear a flak jacket next time you go down there. This can be dangerous.
Hanley Ramirez leading things off here in the Marlins' 6th inning. And he pops this one up. Does Valaika have enough room over near the stands? He got it. Nice play by Chris Valaika.
I'll tell you, that's a big out. When you have Hanley Ramirez on the ropes right there and give him another shot, you never know what's going to happen. Valaika goes in the stands, follows the ball, and he's not getting a whole lot of help from Reds fans down there, but he's the one with the glove. Now, in that particular case, if a fan goes up and actually dislodges the ball or takes it right before it gets into his glove and deflects it, that is not fan interference because he's not hanging over the field of play. Valaika is actually in their territory.
Saw a smile down there from Scott Rowland. It's been a nice day defensively for Chris Valaika.
Real nice day.
You're talking about a guy that so far this year had only played in 2 games down in Louisville at the third base position. Chris brought up earlier, originally came up in the Red system as a shortstop. That one is dumped into short right field by Sanchez. A 1-out single for the cleanup hitter.
Saw Chris smiling down there after that pop-up that he caught in the stands, getting ribbed a little bit by Joe West. Well, he does that perfectly. Finds out where the wall is first and hangs on to everything.
Ground ball to Valaika. There's one. And there's 2. Flawless on 7 chances for the rookie Valaika at third. Back to the Coors Light 6th inning, and now it's time for the Coors Light Freeze Camp. Play in the top of this inning by Valaika reaching into the stands. That is our Coors Light Freeze Camp, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Still a 3-2 game. It's been that way since the end of the top of the 2nd inning. Florida got a 2-run home run by Hanley Ramirez in the top of the 1st. Jay Bruce answered with a 2-run home run in the bottom of the inning. Greg Dodd snapped a 2-2 tie, leading off with a home run to right in the 2nd. And that's been it. Reds had 2 on with 2 out in the 5th inning, but Ricky Nolasco retired Jay Bruce on a pop-up to left field. So here's Joey Votto leading off the Reds' 6th, still down a run. Joey has walked and grounded out to Omar Infante. hard. And a nice sliding catch made by Stanton in right. That's a big play.
Hit it hard, another humpback line drive. He's on it. Sometimes you hit it so hard the ball sinks on you right there, and Stanton comes in and makes a nice catch. That kid's going to be a good player.
Come for the Reds Day for more fun. Make it a home run weekend and visit the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum. Book your trip at CincinnatiUSA.com. One and one the count on Brandon Phillips. High fly ball into deep right center field. Stanton looks up. Goodbye. And we are tied at 3 on the Brandon Phillips home run.
Brandon Phillips, after his first couple of at-bats, he rolled over on the ball the first time, ground ball. He rolled over on the ball a second time, hit a ground ball to the third baseman. This time he's thinking, I'm going to stay inside the ball, take it the other way, and boy, he's got some kind of power. Right center field, the ball getting out of here in about the 4th row, and that's a tied up Wago.
So now Johnny Gomes with 1 in and 1 out. First pitch breaking ball to strike. Johnny 0 for 2 is grounded to third and popped up to short center field. Breaking ball after breaking ball in the last go against Johnny Gomes. Brandon Phillips, his 4th home run, 14th batted in. Did he go? They appeal. No. According to Paul Schreiber, 2 balls, 2 strikes on Johnny Gomes. Brandon Phillips has tied this game at 3 with a solo home run in the bottom of this 6th inning. Rubber game in his 3-game series. Marlins won the opener 7-6. Reds rallied late to win 4-3 in 10 innings last night. Two out. Two down for Ryan Hannigan. And a 3-hopper to the second baseman, and that'll end the inning. But Brandon Phillips, with his team down a run, finds the seats in right center field, and we are tied at 3. for all selected pediatric specialties. In U.S. News and World Report's 2010 Best Children's Hospitals. By your Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit mycincinnatihondadealer.com. And by Wendy's. You know when it's real. Game-tying home run in the last of the sixth inning by that man, Brandon Phillips. So 3-3 as the Marlins come to bat in the seventh. Each team with 3 runs, each team with 5 base hits, and each team with a pair of home runs. Greg Dobbs, a pair of at-bats and a pair of hits. Make it 3.
Well, back-to-back at-bats for Dobbs, where he got a first-pitch curveball. And Bronson Arroyo shook off Ryan Hannigan twice to get to it. Shook off the fastball away, shook off a fastball in. Threw that little curveball up there, and Dobbs has negotiated that for the second time in a row.
So just like that, the Marlins have the leadoff man aboard, the go-ahead run aboard for John Buck, who singled into center field his last time up, 1 for 2. Clobbered foul.
Hey, speaking of Children's Hospital, Tom, want to send a hello and a welcome, a get well to a young man, a 15-year-old catcher from LaSalle High School, Dylan Barnett, watching from, unfortunately, Children's Hospital. He just grew ill this week, and I know his mom and dad are there, Scott and Renee, and we wish you guys the best and hope you get better and back on the field real soon, Dylan.
Absolutely. Thoughts and prayers with you and everybody over there at Cincinnati Children's Hospital. They're relatively new CEO Michael Fisher. They have their huge charity event. I mean, it's one of the biggest events there is in the city that is coming up the middle of this month. I believe it is May the 21st. If you're interested in a way you might be able to help out Children's Hospital, well, take a look into that. It's a big event down here at the Duke Energy Center. And 2 on Buck. Well, here you have the bottom part of the batting order after Brandon Phillips has just tied the game up for you in a 3-3 affair. And that's in the air. Hit pretty well in the right field. And here we go. Just like that again. Reds tied in the first. They tie it in the sixth. And the Marlins get a hit in an opposite field home run to go back up by 2.
Second time in this series that John Buck has gone oppage for a home run. Did it the first night. That was off of Travis Wood. This one a breaking ball that, man, oh man, he just stays with that pitch and takes it the other way. You know, that left the bat looked like a harmless fly ball, but the ball carrying pretty well. A little bit of a wind blowing west to east along the river there, and that creates that right field, almost a little jet stream that really helps those fly balls get out of here.
Buck had 1 home run this year before he came into Cincinnati. And now has 2 in 3 days.
It's a tough place to pitch when the wind's blowing like that. I mean, you really have to concentrate on keeping the ball down and getting the ground ball. That ball didn't go, what, about 4 or 5 rows deep? How many home runs in the last few years did Aaron Harang give up that were, you know, first, second, third row that looked like a fly ball coming off the bat, but they count as a 2 or 3 run homer?
And it plays for both sides.
It does, but if you pitch for this ball club, you cannot allow it to get into your head. You can't stand out there and say, man, that right field wall or that left center field wall where the ball really goes seems like it's right over my shoulder. You just have to eliminate it somehow.
Or
else it'll just kill you and you'll never be able to pitch successfully here. Now, if you're a visiting team coming in, you got to realize quickly you don't have to pull the ball. You don't have to try to hit the home run. Just get it in the air, preferably to right field.
3-2 pitch. And there's a walk. So Arroyo has allowed 3 in a row to reach base to begin this 7th inning. And there is no activity in the Reds bullpen. Arroyo closing in on the 90 pitch mark in the game.
And as you say that, it looks like the phone's ringing down there in the bullpen. Mike Stefanski and Porky Lopez jumping to action.
Now Ricky Nolasco will bat. They pitch out. And Jordan Smith is the Reds reliever beginning to throw in the bullpen. So the Reds are going to have to come from behind yet again. Fell behind 2-0, tied the game at 2. Fell behind 3-2, tied the game at 3. And now they got to come back from a 2-run hole. Bare hands. He'll take the out to first. Give Nolasco his 4th sacrifice of the year. Bonifacio on to second. 1 out. It's a big run out there at second base. Obviously the Reds came back from 3 down in the 8th inning last night. And you certainly don't want to make that a nightly occurrence. Here's Coughlin. Bounced to the mound, grounded to short, and grounded out to Joey Votto, his last at bat in the 5th. Told you the Brewers have already lost today. The Cardinals lost today in Atlanta. Although the Cardinals did go down there to Turner Field and won 2 out of 3. And I'm sure they're smarting right now because they blew a save chance again today. They should have swept Atlanta in that series.
Well, the Atlanta Braves blew 2 save chances in the first 2 games. So it eventually works the other way as well.
Of course, Tony La Russa is saying we got a lot of catching up to do. Told you they lead the National League with 8 blown saves so far this year.
Well, I'm not sure that it all evens out just because it evens out. If you've got a bad back end of your bullpen, and you know they've got some good arms down there. Salas has a nice arm. Sanchez has a nice arm. Of course, they took Kyle McClellan out of the bullpen. He was a big-time part of that bullpen to make him a starter. Having a pretty good run as a starter, but you still weaken your bullpen when you do that. They just have to figure out which young guy can go in what spot, and you know, I guess they're going to mix and match it as best they can until Ryan Franklin gets back on the ball, if he's able to do that.
But he was the one that got the loss today. He did not blow the save. He came in a tie game. Still 2-2 on Coughlin. Arizona leading the Cubs 4-1. That game in the bottom of the 6th inning out in Phoenix. We'll get our first look at the Chicago Cubs on this upcoming road trip that begins on Friday at Wrigley Field. A 3-game series before the Reds make their way to Houston. Two in, 1 on, 1 out. 2-2 pitch, and he went around at strike 3.
Big strikeout right there. Big strikeout right there, especially on a check swing. Coughlin now 0 for 4 on the day. A couple of ground balls, making 3 ground balls in that check swing. That's a changeup that at one point did appear like it might be in the strike zone, but he had really had some tailing action.
All right, now one more big out to go. Here's Omar Infante. Walked in, scored in the first inning. Robbed of a hit on a nice play by Blake in the third. And then fouled out to Joey Votto, ending the fifth. Good breaking ball in there for strike one. Reds have the bottom part of their batting order coming up in the bottom of the seventh inning. That'll be Giannis Valleca, and then to the bench for Arroyo. Grounded foul. Bonifacio, the runner out at second base. 2 are out. Arroyo ahead of Infante at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Got him swinging, but major damage done in the inning. A single by Dobbs, a home run from Buck. And the Marlins in front by a count of 5-3. And on Sundays, we keep it right here at Great American Ballpark for the singing of God Bless America.
This time, we ask that you please help us honor these brave men and women and all of our veterans of service, and welcome Richard Ruby as he leads us in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
with the Reds trailing after the 2-run home run by John Buck in the top of this 7th inning. It's still Ricky Nolasco on the mound. Paul Giannis 0 for 2 today. Looks at a strike. He'll be followed by Chris Valaika, and then the Reds will go to their bench right now. Jeremy Hermida is standing in the Reds dugout with batting gloves on, a helmet on, and a bat in hand. Hermida had a 3-run home run in the opening game of this series against his former team. One and two to Giannis. And that is a fair ball up the third baseline. And this will be a 2-base hit for Giannis, his 3rd double of this series. He thought about going to third and thought better of it with his team down a couple of runs.
Got a breaking ball down in the count. Paul Giannis seeing the ball so much better now. And Nolasco wanted that breaking ball way down and away. He hung it right inside, and Giannis somehow keeps it fair down the third baseline. I'll tell you what, when the bottom of your order really comes around and starts doing things like they've done, especially late in the ball game last couple of nights, what a pick-me-up.
So now the tying run comes to the plate. Pretty good time for Chris Valaika to get his first hit since coming up from the minor leagues. He's 0 for 2 today. He's popped to right and grounded to short. Down a strike. And it is Hermida standing in the on-deck circle. And knowing the Reds have left-handed batters potentially coming up in this inning, and Jay Bruce and Joey Votto, Edwin Rodriguez, the Florida manager, has the left-hander Randy Choate getting ready in the bullpen. Choate, you may recall, came in the 8th inning last night and struck out Bruce and Votto. Off the end of the bat, but caught in center. 1 out. So now Hermida, and the question becomes for the manager of the Marlins. Would you bring in the left-hander here, knowing the Reds would counter with a right-handed batter? And you have another right-hander in Drew Stubbs waiting on deck. And they're going to stay with Nolasco. Five earned runs allowed by Bronson Arroyo in 7 innings. Hermida looks at ball 1. Exactly 100 pitches thrown in the game today by Arroyo. He allowed 7 hits. Struck out 3 and walked 2. A leadoff double by Giannis, and the Reds have a tying run at the plate here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Hermida with that home run here on Friday night, his first hit as a Red after going hitless in 13 at bats. Down the third base line, out of play. One more giddy up there on the fastball there by Nolasco. Here late, the old adage about the horse sniffing the barn. That one at 93 miles per hour.
Yeah, that might be, according to the radar gun, the best fastball he's thrown on the day. Of old teammates going at each other right here, and you know that nothing would make Hermida happier than dropping a base hit right in here and making this a 1-run ball game.
Nolasco ahead of Hermida, 1 ball 2 strikes, and it is grounded fair for out number 2. On the third goes Giannis.
Now that's a shame, not being able to get Paul Giannis to third base with nobody out. Chris Valaika hit a fly ball to center field, but it wasn't deep enough to advance the runner. But that's a must. Somehow you've got to get that runner to third so that maybe a ground ball like that. Actually, they wouldn't have brought the infield in, but had they brought the infield in, that would have been a base hit. Probably a double. If they didn't bring it in, it would have scored Giannis, and it's a 1-run game right now.
Well, there's more than likely either way is the final batter Nolasco faces in the game. You have the left-handed batters Bruce and Votto to follow Drew Stubbs. Ball one. Drew a perfect day today against this Florida right-hander. Single to center, scored in the first inning. Single to left, stole a base, was stranded at third in the third, and then got hit by a pitch his last time up in the fifth. Stubbs 5 home runs this year. Good breaking ball to even the count. Came back with another curveball, and it drops in there to get ahead. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, I think that first pitch was maybe more of a slider, maybe even a splitter type, around 80 miles an hour. Then he really takes a lot off this next one and drops it right in there at the upper end of the strike zone. That's dangerous, but it was high enough that Stubbs gave up on it.
Inning over. Leadoff double, the Reds don't score. End of 7, 5-3. At the time, a game-tying blast by Brandon Phillips to the seats in right center in the 6th inning. For Brandon, his 4th home run of the year. That was the good news. The bad news is, as soon as Florida came right back up to bat, hit home run later, and they're down 2 again, and that's where we are as we start the 8th. And Nick Massett will now replace Bronson Arroyo.
Yeah, for Bronson Arroyo, 7 innings, 7 hits, 5 runs. Couple of walks, 3 strikeouts. The losing pitcher of record right now, unless the Reds can come back and get him off the hook. Nick Massett has gotten better and better as the year has gone on. Very similar to last year. Started off very poorly. Numbers are very bad. Lose some opportunities early in the year. Earned run average around the end of April was way up there. It's better this year, but he's just throwing the ball much better here in the last, I guess, in the last week. All of a sudden, it began to click in.
Well, a tall order here from Massett right through the teeth of this Marlin batting order. Hanley Ramirez, Gavi Sanchez, and Mike Stanton. Ball 1 to Ramirez, who hit a first inning 2-run home run off Arroyo. His first in 136 plate appearances, going back to September of last year. What a pickup by Yadish. Mercy, mercy me.
They were talking about Paul Yadish in the Florida Marlins clubhouse today about how this guy really has a rocket arm, and he's shown such nice confidence at shortstop. Of course, Perry Hill is one of the all-time best infield instructors, and he has had both Edgar Renteria under him and Orlando Cabrera and Alex Gonzalez. And those are the three shortstops that Paul Giannis has been around the last few years. So you can pick up a lot from those guys. And he's got the talent to put it into play.
2 gone on the tapper by Sanchez. Back to the mound.
Hey, Reds fans, if you're in the restaurant industry, let JTM Food Group help you with great tasting products for your menu, inspired solutions, and better results. JTM.
Two down in the inning for Stanton. Strike one. On Wednesday, take a break from the office. Enjoy lunch with the Reds, our Paycor Business Day game. Get a $25 price for seats in our all-you-can-eat section thanks to the Business Courier. 513-3-1 Reds or visit Reds.com. Fly ball straight away center field, and Stubbs barely turns around. First time that Mike Stanton has made noise this entire series. And a very loud noise right there.
That's a big man home run. Talking to Dusty Baker before the game today, he says, you know what, Hanley Ramirez scares me. I know that a batting average of 200 is not indicative of him. And the other guy that scares me is Mike Stanton. He is as strong as anybody in all of baseball. And I mean, he hammers this ball. You called it a fly ball, Tom, and it just kept going and going and going.
Stan did not have a hit in this entire series. In fact, he had only hit one ball you would say was even remotely close to a hard hit ball. Well, he made up for it there. So now a 3-run deficit for the Reds. It was the 8th inning last night. They came back from 3 runs down. Can they do it again here today? Well, you look at some of the guys that have hurt the Reds in this series. Now, granted, we're only talking about a month, but you can also use a little bit of track record with some of the guys. Certainly not Stanton. I mean, he came up midway through last year and had a real nice second half of the year. But the bottom line is Stanton came in the series hitting .220. John Buck came into the series hitting .200. Buck has a couple of home runs. We talked about Greg Dobbs. I mean, he's always been a good hitter, just really never got much of a chance to play regularly. And now he's on base for the 4th time in the game today. Hanley Ramirez came in hitting a .197, but we know about his track record. Sooner or later that was going to change, and Chris, you and I talked about it before the very first pitch was thrown in this series. He knocked in 3 runs in the first game and a 2-run home run in the game here today. Well, here's Buck. With a pitch away from him again with Buck, and he just shoots it into center field. I think he's proven, at least in this series, that he's capable of hitting the ball the other way.
Well, he likes to get his arms extended. He's a big guy. Go up, stand next to him, and you realize how big and strong John Buck is. A little chuck and duck right here, though, for Nick Massett. Bonifacio's line to third, bounced to first, and drawn a walk.
Boy, the 6 and 7 spots in the batting order today almost, well, only one time have those spots not reached base in the game today. And that was Buck's very first at bat when he grounded out to third. Dobbs has a home run, 2 singles, and a walk. And Buck, after the ground out, has a pair of singles and a 2-run home run. But when your team has 16 wins in 27 games, or 25 games, I beg your pardon, obviously you're getting contributions from different guys pretty much every night. 1 and 2 on Bonifacio. And one thing that cannot be denied, and we have seen in this series, the Marlins will have a chance to be in a lot of games this year with the starting pitching they have.
And the bullpen they have. They ought to be able to close out those games if they go late in the game with a lead. Even though the bullpen gave it up last night and nearly gave it up on Friday night.
1 and 2 on Bonifacio with 2 on and 2 out. The fastball is in. You know, you round out their rotation. You have Chris Volstad, a right-hander.
Big, tall guy.
And you have Anibal Sanchez, who, of course, had nearly his second no-hitter of his career 2 starts ago. It's just so interesting. You get into the debate all the time, and certainly there's so much validity to it about the big market teams, the mid market teams, small market teams, what you're spending on your payroll, and how does that define your chances of winning and losing games. But this Florida Marlin franchise has really been an interesting franchise right from the very beginning. That ball is clobbered into right field. And Nick Massett has given up 4 runs here in the inning. You've got guys coming into Cincinnati in the Marlins series this weekend that have barely come close to hitting home runs, if at all, this entire month to begin the season. And they're all rolling out of town with crooked numbers. Bonifacio had not homered. Ramirez had not homered. Buck had 1 homer. And it is now a 9-3 game. Every run scored by the Marlins in this game today have been a direct result of the long ball. 2-run home run by Ramirez in the first inning. Solo shot by Dobbs in the second. 2-run home run by Buck in the 7th. A Stanton home run here in the 8th, and a 3-run homer by Bonifacio in the 8th. Cousins to bat for Ricky Nolasco. Goes 7 innings, allows 6 hits and 3 runs. Walks a batter, hits a batter, strikes out 5.
Kind of feel a whole lot better about his chances now than when he left. Nick Massett began to pitch a lot better, as I mentioned, and it looked like he was going to regain that 8th inning spot, the setup spot right in front of Francisco Cordero in games in which you're winning. That had temporarily gone to Logan Ondrusek, but I don't see that changing anytime soon, because Nick certainly did not help himself with this outing today. Two and 2 on Cousins. Wide
lined into left field and caught. Nice play out there by Johnny Gomes. 4 runs, 2 home runs in the Florida 8th, and they lead 9-3. Cincinnati's favorites at Great American Ballpark. Penn Station East Coast subs find a Penn Station location near the Reds fan zone and behind Section 413. To see your Reds, call 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com. Reds are down after that 4-run top of the 8th inning. The Marlins have scored 6 unanswered runs since a Brandon Phillips home run tied the game in the 6th inning. And Randy Choate will come on to face Bruce Simvato.
Well, the veteran left-hander broke in with the Yankees for 4 years, parts thereof, and same thing for the Arizona Diamondbacks. But he really looked good in the first outing that he came in here at Great American Ballpark. Got the 2 guys out that he faced last night. It was the same part of the order. Jay Bruce and Joey Votto, back-to-back strikeouts, and both looking.
To Bruce. Bruce had a big chance in this game going back to the 5th inning. The Reds at the time were down a run. Had a couple on, 2 out, and popped up to the left fielder Bonifacio. Jay did hit a first inning 2-run home run, his 5th of the year. And he's gone looking.
He's seen enough of Randy Choate. 2 plate appearances, 2 strikeouts looking.
Joey Votto, the batter, is 0 for 2. Has drawn a walk, bounced to second, and had a hit taken away on a diving play made by Stanton in right field in the 6th. Swung on and fouled out of play. Mike Leake against Jay Happ tomorrow night. Again, that'll be a 7:10 first pitch. We'll have the first 2 games of that Houston series for you right here on Fox Sports Ohio. The Wednesday afternoon game is radio only. And then we'll have the entire road trip. Well, I should say actually, 5 out of the 6 on the upcoming road trip, because the Saturday game in Chicago will be a Fox Saturday game of the week. Short left center field. What a play by Bonifacio. Votto has had a couple of those taken away today.
Well, he's got to be the fastest left fielder in the National League, and he comes a long way to get this. Bonifacio does. Celebrating a big day for him. A 3-run home run in the top of the inning. First time that Bonifacio has ever hit a ball out of the ballpark. Second career home run. His other one was an inside the Parker. And boy, Randy, Choate likes that.
So even with a 6-run lead and 2 outs with nobody on, they're just going to use Choate for the lefties. Our Skyline call to the bullpen. Cardinals May the 13th through the 15th right here, presented by KOI Auto Parts. Friday we have the big fireworks display, and right after the game, don't forget, Creedence Clearwater Revisited. That'll be a big night on Friday night. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com. Clay Hensley on to follow Randy Choate, who for a second straight game retires Bruce and Votto. So with 2 down and nobody on, the Marlins are leading 9-3 in the 8th. Well, the last time Brandon Phillips stepped up there, you thought, all right, you're in business. His team down a run, hit a home run to right center field to tie the game at 3 apiece. But the Marlins got 2 in the 7th off Arroyo, 4 in the 8th inning against Nick Masson. That's where we are here in the bottom of the 8th. In front of a crowd of nearly 27,000 on this Sunday, a very busy Sunday in Cincinnati. We brought up earlier, 6:30 this morning, they fired off the gun to set off the Flying Pig Marathon. On the ground to Dobbs, and Hensley comes in to get the final out of the inning. So we go to the 9th, and the Marlins lead by 6. for Chris FLO, his first start in this season since coming up from the minor leagues. He's had a good day.
Oh, he had a great day defensively, he did. Every ground ball that was hit to him, he handled perfectly. Started a double play right there to get the Reds out of an inning. Went into the stands against and make a nice play on a foul ball. Still looking to do something with the bat, 0 for 3. But a nice defensive fill-in today.
Carlos Fisher threw the ball well here the other night in relief on Friday night. And he'll take over for Nick Masson in the 9th inning on this Sunday late in the afternoon, early evening. What do you think of this 4:10 start time? I know the reason. We all know the reason why the Reds did it. Really to help out the city in so many ways and make it easy for the fans to get in here with the roads closed all over, especially the eastern part of town due to the marathon. You know, we've had some weird start times everywhere we've been so far this year. I know you weren't out in Phoenix, but we had that Saturday 5:10 start on a Saturday night, which, you know, when you first looked at it, you thought, man, you know, 5:10. But you know, you and I have talked about this before out in Arizona during the week. There's a base hit into right field by Coughlin to begin the 9th inning. You know, on a Saturday, it gives you time to do all the stuff you want to do by and large during the day, or at least in the morning, and you get to your kids' games or whatever it might be, get yard work done. But then by the time the game is over, it's about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and you still have time if you want to do something, you know, maybe get out and have a late dinner with your wife, whatever it is, if you're coming down the ballpark.
Yeah.
But I love the 6:30 starts they have out there during the week.
You mean during the week?
During the week. I mean, what a difference.
Too. Yeah, I do too. But, you know, one of the problems with that is that sometimes it's tough to get home in time from work, grab the family, and get back to the ballpark by 6:30.
Yep.
That's the height of traffic. Now, I'm curious about the flying pig, and I mean this question sincerely.
Sure.
But, I mean, they are marathoners. I mean, they're running 26 miles. Why couldn't you put the finish line up there at Fountain Square? I mean, it's only a few blocks from here. If you're going to run 26 miles, it's a couple extra blocks. And have the finish line up there, and then you wouldn't impact the ballpark or the crowd, you know, really all that much here.
It's a legitimate question.
If you wanted to start it, that is the ball game at 1 o'clock. Although I don't mind the 4 o'clock game. I kind of enjoyed it, actually.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there is a answer, but I think it's a great question.
I mean, for those that really were hot and tired, they just dump right into that fountain and cool off.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
I'm sure it has to do with parking. Because, you know, let's face it, the super majority of people that are running in a Flying Pig Marathon are people who are around the area. But they all have to drive in to get down here for the start at 6:30 in the morning. And then, you know, the super majority of people who are running it, it's taking them anywhere from 4.5 hours, 5.5 hours, maybe 6 hours to do it. And so, you know, if you've got 17,000 runners, a lot of times, you know, the person running is going to come down early to get here. The rest of the family wants to be around to watch him finish. So that's another car coming downtown. As Infante bounces out, Coughlin on to second base, 1 out in the inning. So you got a pile of automobiles hanging around downtown Cincinnati.
Well, nice crowd here. I can't say the 4 o'clock crowd suppressed the number of people who came into the ballpark.
You know, it is always just interesting to look at different things, and just because you've done it a certain way for a long time, you never want to close your mind to considering maybe trying something different. I always find it very, very interesting, and I'd bet money on it if I were a gambling man for this coming week, depending on the weather. That if you're not playing the St. Louis Cardinals, if you're not playing the Chicago Cubs, or you're not playing the New York Yankees or somebody like that during interleague, if you're playing some teams that maybe are having a down year or they're just not a big draw, while school is still going on. We've already seen it this year in a couple of series where the Reds have had teams like that in town. The Astros during the week, and they'll be here again tomorrow. Arizona Diamondbacks during the week.
Yeah.
The Monday and Tuesday night games, or Tuesday and Wednesday night games, the crowds have been way down. When you play the day game, the final game of the series, normally getaway day, the crowds are much, much bigger. Do you consider playing 2 of the 3 games during the day? I mean, the immediate reaction by most people is always, oh, no, that wouldn't make any sense. Well, 1-1 to Ramirez. You know, you can say that. But if all of a sudden somebody handed you a piece of paper and said, hey, every time you play a 3-game series in April and May against one of those lesser teams for the last 25 years, and the one-day game you play in those series, you're doing about 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 fans more, why wouldn't you think about it?
Well, if you're only talking about attendance at the ballpark, that might make some sense, but you as the director of broadcasting here with the Reds ought to know that we get less viewership during the day during the week than you do in the evenings during the week.
That part we know to be true, not the part about director of broadcasting. Because if that were indeed true about being director of broadcasting, you would have very limited exposure period after comments like that.
I got to call them like I see them.
I understand.
Carlos Fisher and Ryan Hannigan have a little tough time getting on the same page right here. Fisher's already crossed him up once. Hannigan looking for a fastball, got a curveball, and that time that was another cross up, so he's going out to tell Carlos exactly what they're going to do here with a runner on second base. You know the answer to those questions, though, about how to get better draws during the week against teams that don't normally draw, is to have your team go to the postseason 4 out of 5 years, go to the World Series a couple of times, win a World Series, and then people will come to watch you, and it doesn't matter who you play.
Sure.
They'll be in here to watch the Reds. And I think that they're on the right track for that. And they're certainly, you know, in better shape this year than they were last year, better shape last year than the year before. So that's a climb that the Reds are continuing to make and being very good at it.
Two and two to count on Hanley Ramirez. Swing and a miss on a fastball away from him. On Gavi Sanchez, runner at second. Marlins leading 9-3, and there's a swing and a miss, 1-1. Nice play by Fisher on a sharp one hopper, and that will retire the side. Reds are back in the bottom of the 9th inning, trailing the Marlins 9-3. MLB.TV, baseball everywhere. Nice job by Carlos Fisher in relief. Without a hit. No runs in his only inning out of the bullpen. And now taking over for the Marlins from their pen is Brian Sanchez. Well, unless the Reds can come back down by 6 here in the bottom of the 9th inning. They have not won back-to-back games since doing so in San Diego. The second win of consecutive victories came on April the 12th. They have alternated wins and losses over their last 11 games. Off the end of the bat, fly ball into short center field. That'll be playable for Coghlan. 1 out. So again, a reminder that the next 2 nights we'll be with you here on Fox Sports Ohio. 7:10, 7:10, Monday and Tuesday. Plenty of tickets are available, so come on down to the ballpark. We understand the weather supposed to be pretty good this week. Mike Leake and Jay Happ tomorrow night. And then a 12:35 game on Wednesday. Told you the Brewers and the Cardinals both lost today, so while the Reds will gain no ground, nor will they lose ground on the front-running Cardinals, who had a 4-game winning streak snapped today. The Marlins will be on their way, as Chris mentioned earlier, to St. Louis to battle the Cardinals in a series that begins tomorrow night. Line into left field, a base hit by Hannigan. So Ryan, his first hit in 4 at-bats today. You take a look at really the upcoming schedule, Chris, for the Reds, and we've talked about the 3 games against Houston, and then you go 2 on the next road trip. Wrigley Field for a 3-game set, go to Houston for a 3-game set before you come back home on that May the 13th Friday night with the Cardinals coming into town. Now, you said it last night. It's why you play the games and you don't play them on paper. And you see it virtually every night if you look at Major League Baseball and you weigh the pitching matchup. So while the Reds with a loss today would be a .500 team, you would never dare take for granted you're going to beat anybody else. But you will be playing 3 consecutive series against teams that are under 500.
Yep.
Base hit by Giannis.
Well, in this division, though, Tom, the Reds have learned, and even in the league so far, they've learned that you cannot go on just the fact that you're playing a team that is historically under 500 or had a bad year last year, or is this year under 500. Look what the Pirates did when they came in here to the Reds, and then back-to-back with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Those were games, that's home series, that the Reds really thought that they were going to make some hay here against those 2 teams before they got on the road to play the Cardinals and then the Milwaukee Brewers. As it turned out, they played 500 on the road, 3-3 on that road trip, St. Louis and Milwaukee, but only won 1 game of each series against the Houston Astros and the Diamondbacks.
Pirates and the Diamondbacks.
Pirates and the Diamondbacks. So anybody can beat you. They got to figure out a way to score more runs. That's the bottom line.
And the other part of it is a first inning issue. And it's been talked about, it seems, ad nauseum, and we're only a month into the year. But the bottom line is today marked the 8th straight home game, 8 in a row, where the Reds have allowed the other team to score in the first inning. They played 16 home games, and in 12 of the 16, 3/4 of their home games, the opposition has scored in its first at bat of the night. That's got to change, too, because you just can't come back and do it every single night. You know it's not from a lack of trying. We know that. I mean, you know, whether it's Dusty Baker or Brian Price, the pitching coach, and for that matter, the starting pitchers themselves. They are going to do whatever it takes to try and figure out a way to end allowing all these runs in the first inning. But, I mean, after a while, you know, the old Tommy Lasorda line. I mean, I can find a billion people that'll go try to do something. I need somebody to get it done.
Yeah.
Tommy was all heart when he said that. That was to Steve Sachs, if I'm not mistaken, when he was having all those issues throwing the ball from second base to first base.
Sympathetic guy.
Yeah. 2-2. That's fouled away. It's when Steve laid the line on him. I'm trying, Skipper. I'm trying. Yeah.
And, you know, at this level, it's all about scoreboard. Year in and year out, whether you pitch or whether you hit. I mean, it's one of the only jobs that you can have where anywhere across America, the world, for that matter, with the internet, is that people can look it up and find out what kind of day you had at the office yesterday.
Two and two on Valleca. And it's ball 3.
Yeah, the other thing, though, Tom, is the number of runs the Reds have scored. They're second in the league right now with a total number of runs, but that is very misleading because they're playing their 28th game today, and in 14 of the games that they've played this year, exactly half, they have scored 4 runs or fewer. And the average Major League team scoring more than 4 runs, so you're going to lose those games. So, you know, the average runs, you know, when you have a big blowout, when you're, you know, scoring 13 or 14 runs, that skews that, especially early in the season. The Reds led the league in runs scored last year. Over the course of a year, that number will tell a lot more than right now. But, I mean, Dusty Baker's having to try to find himself a way to win a ball game when your team's not scoring very many runs and your pitching staff putting yourself in a hole starting from the first inning. It'll turn around, but in the meantime, it's just tough to do.
It's a nice at-bat right there by Valleca. Really nice at-bat to draw a walk. So with 1 out, down by 6, the Reds have them loaded here in the bottom of the 9th inning. And that will bring on Randy St. Clair, their pitching coach, to talk with Clay Hensley before Chris Heisey comes up to bat for Carlos Fisher.
Well, they've got a 6-run lead. And they've got Leo Nunez, who is the closer, now up and throwing in the bullpen. They would have liked to give him another day off. He was not available last night.
Sanchez, I beg your pardon, not Hensley, is the one being visited by St. Clair on the mound. Hensley went a third of an inning taking care of Brandon Phillips in the bottom of the 8th before Sanchez takes over here in the 9th. Heisey batting for Carlos Fisher. Strike 1. Heisey, a guy who has seen very little playing time in regard to starts this year. He's only made 5 starts this season. And the Reds today are playing in their, 28th game. One start in left field for Heisey, 2 in center, 2 in right. Two and 2, and John Buck says hang on a minute.
Well, they're trying to keep the breaking ball on Chris Heisey because that's the scatter report that says this guy can turn on a fastball and turn on it right now. On an inside heater, he's one of the better fastball hitters on this ball club.
We got home plate umpire out there, Angel Hernandez, saying, hey, hang on a minute now, guys. You know, there's a threat of rain here.
I got a flight to catch.
It's a 6-run lead. I don't know if he's getting out of here tonight. But
well, he's got dinner reservations there.
Maybe that.
He's in Joe West crew. You can book it.
2 and 2. Line to the deep left center field, and it's over the head of Coghlan. 2 runs are going to score. They're going to hold up Valleca. A 2-run double by Chris Heisey to make it a 9-5 game.
I'll tell you, when he's in the ball game, things just seem to happen, don't they? Fouled off a tough pitch on a 2-2 count, got a breaking ball right there after a conversation with the catcher, and he hits it right over the head of Chris Coghlan in center field. Coghlan all series long, when he has played, he's played very shallow in center field. And he'll end up learning if he plays in this ballpark enough that the ball really flies, and he got burned on that one.
Heisey has a grand total of 35 at-bats. He has knocked in 12 runs in 35 at-bats.
Efficient.
There's 1 out, runners at second and third. But we roll over to the top of the order in Drew Stubbs against the Marlins closer, Leo Nunez. He gave up 2 runs here in the 9th inning in the opening game of this series, and was able to coax the final out of the 9th when he got Jay Bruce with a tying run at second to look at strike 3. Trying to get at the minimum the tying run to the plate here in the bottom of the 9th. Stubbs behind 0-2, where Stubbs would have to reach base to make that happen. 27,000 that were announced in attendance. Many have left, but a number of have stayed around. There's a fastball away, 1 ball and 2 strikes, and they're hoping to see something that not many would have bet on about 15-20 minutes ago.
Well, this matchup happened the other night. Leo Nunez came in and gave it up a little bit. That very squeaky victory the Marlins had on Friday night. Base hit that he had off of Leo Nunez. Stubbs, that is. A game that looked like a blowout after the Marlins scored 6 runs in the 7th and the 8th inning to make it a 6-run lead. Now a save situation for Leo Nunez with the tying run in the on-deck circle.
2-2 to count on Drew Stubbs with runners at 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. 3-2.
Well, he is not one to throw him a fastball here. Nunez ended it the other night on a pitch to Jay Bruce. Remember that 3-2 count? That was a backdoor slider. Well, you talk about a low percentage pitch, but he came up with a perfect spot. And that's a great changeup that he threw there. That's his main pitch. He's got a slider and he's got a changeup, but he's got great confidence in that changeup. How about throwing that on a 3-2 count? That's down and out of the strike zone.
So here is Jay Bruce with his team down by 4. And you've got Joey Votto in the on-deck circle. Somehow, some way, you got to find a way to bring Votto to the plate to have a chance. 0-1 to Bruce. Strikes on away from that occurring.
He just does not appear like he wants to throw his fastball. Either that or his arm doesn't feel well enough to feel like he can gas it by either of these left-handers.
3-0 pitch. And they are loaded. Joey Votto represents the tying run in the bottom of the 9th. Let's check in downstairs with Jeff Leporo.
You know, Tom and Chris, a lot of times you sit down here and you get to hear a lot of things from the players when they talk to each other. When Nunez came in and threw his warm-up pitches and then threw his first pitch to Drew Stubbs, Votto yelled out to Jay Bruce. He goes, "Hey, Jay, let me hit, my man. Let me hit." Well, he's getting his opportunity right now.
Good stuff, Jeff Leporo. Thank you very much. Well, this is all you can ask for. I mean, when you come to bat in the bottom of the 9th inning and you're down by 6 runs, all you can ask for is a chance. The reigning National League's most valuable player bats with the bases loaded, down 4, 2 away in the bottom of the 9th inning. Out off to the third base side, out of play.
And a first pitch off speed pitch. He's got a nice changeup, and that'll work down and away to a left-hander.
Nothing in 1 on Joey Votto. Threw a fastball that time at 95 miles per hour, and he's quickly ahead of Joey at 0-2.
Now what we've seen out of Joey Votto in situations like this, down in the count, he protects the plate against the fastball, kind of fouls him off to the left side in order so that he doesn't get fooled on the breaking ball.
No balls, 2 strikes, bases loaded, 2 outs in the 9th. And a comebacker to the mound. And the game is over. So the Reds score 2 runs, but Nunez slams the door, retiring 2 of the 3 batters that he faced. And the Marlins win 2 out of 3 in this weekend series. Final today of 9-5.
Well, the Marlins have really turned around what their history was against the Reds. They came in over the last 5 years having won only 12 of 34 ball games against the Reds. The Reds have owned them, in other words, but they came in here and turned the tide in Cincinnati. They're on their way to St. Louis. Let's hope the Marlins continue to play good baseball, and the Reds figure out how to score more runs. They seem to not be able to get the offense going until the 9th inning almost every game in this series, and maybe they'll come out tomorrow night against the Houston Astros ready to go from inning 1, number 1 on.
And we'll have everything getting started tomorrow with Reds Live, the pregame version, getting underway at 6:30 tomorrow, and our game coverage begins at 7 o'clock. We invite you to join us, or if not, come on down to the ballpark. We'd love to have you with us. Time now for Reds Live, the postgame, and let's send it downstairs to Jim Day.
Tom, thank you very much.